Hi everybody, it's Amanda. This is the June Q&A for Patreon 2020. What a crazy year so far. I don't have a feeling it's going to get any less crazy. So if you saw my community tab today on YouTube, then turn this music down. It's a little too loud. I can't even hear myself. Then you'll see that I posted something about another thing coming. And I just wanted to share how I get those impressions. And I normally don't say anything because I wasn't sure if this was a trend or not, but it seems to be, so I thought I'd mention it this time. But I'll wake up early in the morning. It was 4 o'clock this morning. And I'll wake up and I remember the dream I was having. It wasn't an upsetting dream or a sad dream or anything. And I just wake up. And then within about 5 seconds, just this feeling hits me. And it's this one this morning was just like sad and upset and there's something, an aspect of betrayal maybe in there, and then a sort of, not panic, but just like anxiety and I don't know what to do kind of feeling. Like whatever happened or is going to happen just leaves people feeling like hopeless and helpless. So I feel like I'm not saying, and I want to tell people to be afraid, you know, because I want them to be afraid or worry or anything. I want to tell you all because you're the ones, along with me, who need to be the ones that are there for the people who are freaking out or helpless or hopeless. And just be something solid for those people. And there'll be a lot of them. There are a lot of them now. So we need to use our, whatever your gift is, whatever your talent is, and just hold the space for them and be there to listen and remember that if people are angry or scared or lash out, it's not about you. It's about the fact that they're afraid or stressed or whatever. So I just thought I'd mention that. That's on my community tab. And I posted a picture of Yoda that says something about a disturbance in the force. That's what I consider it whenever I get these. Because I know it's not mine. I used to think it was mine, and I thought, what is wrong with me? Why does this happen? What is going on in my brain that I'm fine, and then 5 seconds later something, attacks me out of nowhere. And I don't believe in attacks either, so. But I think it's just sensing the collective and, after I had this a few times and then something happened, I thought, okay, it's probably just that force sense that we all have, and I usually ignore it. I think most people ignore it. Anyway, just thought I'd mention that. So, if something happens, just be the ones that take care of the ones that are freaking out. Okay, on with the questions. So, the first question is from Ellen. What's the best way to clear the subconscious since it's buried under the consciousness? How does one efficiently access the subconscious to, can't read it, hold on, uproot the programs that are not in our highest good? And Elena mentioned a lot of really good things. It's all things that I have looked at as well. But while I was sort of trying to get in state, they were already talking about comparisons. So let me tap back into that and see if they can talk about that. Comparisons where, okay, so they're wanting to talk about who you really are. So who you really are doesn't have any negative polarity. Who you really are is loved and valued for your contribution. You are unique, and you're necessary and needed to make up the whole. Every being, every part of the whole is necessary. What we're taught when we're in the physical is that we're only good or necessary if this or that. So there are a lot of programs. Some are very tiny and some are big, depending on what type of life you came in to, what kind of situation you came into. So they want us to sort of compare how you're feeling versus who you really are. And they're saying that way you sort of come back to your true self. Because if how you're really feeling is that you're not good enough, you're not doing something right, somebody doesn't value you, somebody doesn't value your opinion, you don't think you're doing a good job at something, they want us always to compare that to our true selves, which is always valued, always loved, is naturally in a space of non-polarity. There's no jealousy. There's no comparison. Everything is valued. Every opinion. Nobody's thought to be stupid if their opinion, okay, say you're meeting with 4 other beings, non-polarity, there's no polarity, and your idea is based on less experience than the other beings, and they're telepathic. They're not going to think, wow, you're stupid. That was a dumb idea, and it's clear that you don't know what you're doing because you don't have as much experience as us. They're never going to think that, ever. They're always going to think that they're glad that you expressed your opinion. They're not going to look down on you. That doesn't exist. Looking down on somebody doesn't exist. You're always appreciated for your input. And that's what you're going to feel all the time. So, the most efficient way to purge those programs is to always keep this in the forefront of your mind. You are always valued. And in that way, it doesn't matter what another person thinks or says in regard to you, because you know your true self and your true worth. I'm asking them to give me a practical example of this, like how this would work in everyday life, because I'm a little dubious that we could keep this in mind. I don't know. Well, okay, so they're just saying other people's opinions are based on their perceptions. And it doesn't really have anything to do with you as you are in 3D, or you as you are truly your true self. Well, what they're calling our true selves. And they're telling me it's the purple alien thing again. I think it was Kyle Cease who has a story in, I think, a book he wrote. And I haven't read the book. I heard it in an interview. The girl was talking about it. Something like, if somebody came up to you and said, "You're a horrible person. I can't believe anybody would ever be friends with you or love you." If there's a part of you that believes it, it will impact you. But if there's not a part of you that believes it, then it would be the same as somebody coming up to you and saying, "You're a purple alien. I can't believe anybody loves you or is friends with you, because clearly you're a purple alien or a purple monster," or whatever, however you want to look at it. I mean, something that's just so absurd that you're just like, wow, that's so weird that that person thinks I'm a purple alien, because, clearly I'm not. So, that's interesting. So I think they're saying, whenever you're confronted with something from the outside, don't take it in. Remember who you are. If you're confronted with something from the inside, do the same thing. Remember, that's not you. That's a perception based on experiences from childhood, experiences that are perceptions of other people. So they think that that would be the quickest and easiest way to let go of those old programs, is to realize it's all based on perceptions of other people and impressed upon you, and you can just let go of those and realize they're not really who you are. It's who the other people are. Who you are is love and light and non-polarity and being valued and loved for your unique piece of the all. Okay. Mark says, can you tell me if the White House press secretary, Kayleigh McEnany, is an ET incarnate? If she is, where is she from? Assuming you mean like a light worker and not an ET pretending to be human. Well, I guess we all are ETs pretending to be human. I don't know. All right. They're giving me the impression that she is not so much a light worker. She is, well, okay, first of all, they're saying we're all from somewhere else. This is a question that I have. Are some separate? Are some of us, we'll get to this later, humans, only been human, and are some of us, like, what's the percentage there? Are there, are we all light workers? What's the ratio of, is there such a thing as a human who's always been a human and nothing else? Okay, but they're giving me that she's from somewhere else. Not really feeling like a light worker with a mission. She feels like an experience seeker, but I also feel like she's a little bit got that at times, it doesn't seem to be a huge percentage, but at times she seems to be attaching to what I talked about in my hypnosis session, which is the negative self-replicating programs. So yeah, she's kind of she's been holding on to those I don't want to sound insulting because she's not a bad person. She's just that program of putting ego above as the most important, like, oh, and it's kind of sad, really. It's like the program she's attached to is the, you need to be visible and attached to someone with importance to be valued. So that's the negative program she's on. To be valued, you have to be attached to somebody with power. And then there's a physical program where the appearance of things, not just the physical appearance, but the appearance of things is important. I'm trying to see how she'll react as the programs dissolve. A lot of crying and breakdowns, but not publicly if she can help it. Because appearance is a program she's attached to. She's going to always try to give the best appearance. That's all I've got. I don't know anything about her. Okay. I don't much about her. I mean, I know who she is, but that's it. Okay. That was Mark's question. Did I say that? And then this is Elena. Could they talk about the significance of integrating emotional trauma and shadow work? So I follow a process that allows me to do shadow work and connect to the subconscious and release trauma through transforming past traumatic memories. I occasionally experience full energetic body sensations release sessions, which seem to be quite effective. Talk about ways these methods are comparable or not. So I had something like that in my hypnosis session, which I didn't share or I haven't shared yet, but I can't remember what we were talking about, but it was like a realization that I had that I guess I didn't know about. And as soon as it came into my awareness, it was like a whole soul's worth of person like lifted off of me. It was really interesting. I don't think I normally have stuff like that happen. So, shadow work in the subconscious. Well, I mean, hypnosis is always really effective for that kind of release and getting to the things that you don't know about, but they just talked about a different way in comparison. Let me see if they have significance of the integration. Let me get this right. Of emotional trauma and shadow work. Integration of emotional trauma and shadow work. Okay, so they're bringing up how some of us, myself included, tend to reject the physical, the 3D, everyday world, and we don't want to deal with it, so we shove it aside or shove it down, and we don't process that. So if you can integrate the bad and the good. Okay, I think they mean You can integrate the bad by focusing on the good parts of the physical experience, like chocolate and hugs and all that good stuff. Other things. Then the bad things. Nothing's really bad. It's all experiences outside of this. While we're in it, there are things that feel bad. And some of us might come from places where we don't have that experience, and so it's very hard to adjust and acclimate, even after several lifetimes. Because there's polarity and a balance of positive and negative, we also have to have a balance of positive and negative in our focus of our experiences. So, I'm asking, like, what does that look like? So, there's some people who are super focused on the positive and they don't want to talk about anything negative. They just like refuse to face it and refuse to deal with it or experience it. They're saying it would be better, or not better, more effective to just treat the negative as experiences, as a small part of your total existence. So a single life sorry, I'm arguing with them in my head. So they're saying a single life is such a small part of your total being. And they're saying that because they because I was saying you can't negate how horrible some experiences are here, even if they're very short. They can feel just unbelievably horrible, and they don't want to negate that that we feel that, but they just want us to keep in mind that traumas are a small part of our overall experiences of the all. And B, sometimes when you focus on traumas and purging traumas, you sort of hyper focus on that and it becomes unbalanced because now you're focusing on the bad. If you look at the traumas to integrate them in the way of what did I learn from this experience, or what can be gained from that, bad experience, then that's a more effective way of maintaining the balance. You're not hiding from it, but you're not focusing so much on it that it becomes unbalanced in the negative way or the traumatic way. And also, if you do work in the traumas, you need to balance that with some positive thoughts and experiences. Whether that's, you love to garden, and so you spend some time in the garden after you do that kind of work to sort of recharge. You've got to maintain the balance. It's not helpful to be all positive in the way that you're hiding from the negative aspects of this existence. And it's also not good to hyper-focus on just purging these traumas. I'm going to purge this trauma and purge this trauma, because you've got to you've got to have a recharge time to keep it balanced, or you could tip yourself to the negative. And you don't want to attach to those negative programs. You don't want to attach to guilt or shame or any of that while doing this trauma work. But they're saying it doesn't have to be that difficult. They don't like my use of the word work, because they're saying there's always an easier way to do it. And you should try the easier way, because you'd be surprised at how much you can accomplish without having to try or effort. Efforting is that an Abraham Hicks thing? Efforting, or I don't know. When I tell myself, like, whenever something becomes hard, I tell myself, like, you're efforting. Stop efforting. It shouldn't be hard. All right. I hope that made sense, and I hope that helped. For Mark, how does the soul retain its life memories? Does the soul retain personality traits and desires? Why can a person in this life affect another person so much? All right, first, does the soul retain its life memories? Depends on the level of the soul. Like, how far away from source are we? There are different levels. I would say from our level, let's do the level of people on Earth right now. And they're already saying I can't do all the people. Okay, for Mark. So everything's stored in, like, the field, or, everything's in the all. Everything's in the consciousness field of all beings. When we come in, we bring with us those experiences or qualities from those experiences we've had that we believe might help us. So you may come in with a musical ability or something that helps you in this life, but you actually got it from, the singing trees on some other planet that you lived on, or something. So it seems like they're saying for our level right here, all memories are retained. You can't bring all of them with you, because that's too much experience for this physical vessel. Does the soul retain personality traits and desires? There may be goals we want to attain, but I don't really think we have desires per se outside of this experience. I think desire is like they're correcting me. Okay, apparently there are other places. But in general, desire is not like a thing outside of certain experiences. There are things you'd like to attain, or really, achieve is not even a good word either, because that has a connotation of success, which is also not a thing. It's hard to explain. You can come in, you know what I mean? Like, you can have a life where, okay, two things. You can have a life where you have attachment to another person in the physical because you've had lives together. They may be in your soul group, or, which is a group of people that work together and have like a similar level of experience, and you're just like, it's like having a group of coworkers that you're used to working with, and you work really well together, and you've had a lot of experience working well together, so you stay together and you keep having these experiences. So you can have a lot of other experiences with the same people that are here now with you. What was the other thing? Oh, the other thing is, if you're meant to work with someone or meant to interact with someone in this life, it's like there's a memory. It's kind of backwards. It's like there's a memory you have in this life. Like you meet someone and, okay, so there's the memory. You've got it. Well, you're shown that before you come into the life. So when you get to that point, it's weird because you've already seen it and it seems backwards, but, and there's like different timelines and different ways it can happen, but there's sort of like an imprint, memory imprint, or there's some book, somebody calls it something. It's like a key moment that's going to happen, or a key person you're going to meet, and there's this, I'm doing this. It's like you have a memory of them. So when that happens, it's like you have this moment of like, oh, this is important kind of feeling, or oh, there's something about this. And I think our culture really sort of romanticizes those moments and turns them into things that are like, they're supposed to be really beautiful. And sometimes it can lead you on an unhappy path, and that may be the path that you're meant to take because you're supposed to be learning or having some sort of experience. So I think those are the two reasons why we feel like I don't know, I'm not sure this is your question, but we feel like we have a connection to people, and it's not maybe for the reasons we think. We tend to have like I said, a romantic view around a lot of things that aren't really soul level things. They're just experience things that we maybe agreed to, that we're going to come in and have an experience or interact with a person for some purpose. And so our cultural conditioning says that means we're destined to be with that person, or that person is very special, or whatever. And it could be that person is very special because you're meant, you sort of have an agreement, or you decided to do something together in this life. I think that's all I got on that one. Oh, that's the last one. What do you know? All right, you guys need to come up with some more questions for me for next month, and I'll be recovering. I don't think I told anybody. My surgery is scheduled for 2 weeks from this coming Monday, which is the 29th, and the surgeon said I'm going to be in for 4 or 5 days. I was hoping for 2. I don't like having to be away from my kids and my husband for that long, but and I'm pretty sure they're not going to let anybody in the hospital because our cases of COVID are rising in my corner of the state right now. So, well, I'll let you guys know if they cancel it. I don't know. The hospitals get full, then we may not have room. They might not have room for me, or can't do my surgery because they need the space for something else. I don't know. Hopefully not. Oh, I know what. You know what I'm going to ask right now? I had a question because I think I asked in some other session about the peak of the COVID thing, and I said end of March, beginning of April, it would be over. The peak would be over. And it's not true for here where I'm at. But I did just read something that said the world peak was at that time. But let me check and see if that's valid while I'm thinking of it. I'm asking for the probability because they're showing me that the collective is so back and forth. Some people don't think it exists. Some people think it is really bad. So it's like, and everybody can be right because we create our own reality, right? So it's just like these waves going like this. It is, it isn't, it is, and so there's so much fluctuation in the outcome, but there's got to be a general consensus of timelines, I would think. They're showing me a surge in the summer and a surge in the winter, and so I'm asking, is that just in my area? Because they were showing me the schools. Like the schools would open and then close. No, not close. Students would just be out in different ways. Some schools the kids are out because there are a lot of sick kids, and some schools are out because they're doing distance learning for a time period. Is that just here or is that everywhere? I feel like that's my area. Germany popped into my head. Just pockets everywhere. It's going to be different in different places. They're saying eventually we'll get to a point where people will understand or believe that enough people have had it that there's a sort of like a herd immunity, and there's not likely to be any huge outbreaks, except in communities where nobody's ever had it, which would be here. I mean, we live in a small town, so I don't think anybody has it in our town. Everybody's walking around like nothing's going on here. But a couple, the closest big city, everybody's wearing masks, and the restaurants aren't opening, and they're still doing curbside and all that. Anyway, I had to check that out to see what was going on. So much is just still in flux. We'll have to see how it all plays out. All right, I'm going to post the July Q&A call for questions early. And I'm going to try to do the, there is no try, only do. I'm going to do the personals next week, I think. Next week or the week after. So usually I do them the last week of the month, but I'll be in the hospital, hopefully. So anyway, all right, I hope you guys are doing well. Don't forget to hold the space for people who are freaking out. And I love you all, and I'll see you again next month. Bye. Much love.